Hi guys, happy Sunday with Satan. So, alright, back to, we were talking about the Inquisition, the witch trials, so basically historical craft for right now. Alright, so, it gets even more interesting, so. Alright, so we have several cases involving mobs of villagers taking the law into their own hands and attacking those that they suspected of being witches. So yeah, kind of like today. This included ducking or swimming them in village ponds and scaring them above the beneath. An example, cutting them above the mouth in the belief that this would basically negate their power and lift curses. So, right above there. Weird. So, before the old Witchcraft Act was finally repealed as late of 1951. That's crazy. And replaced by the Fraudulent Mediums Act. Several spiritualists and gypsy fortune tellers were prosecuted for allegedly pretending to have psychic powers. That's just, messed up. So the most famous of these was the medium, Helen Duncan. Never heard of her. Who is sometimes incorrectly described by modern writers as a witch. So, it was her prosecution and that of another medium that led to the campaign by spiritualists to get the old act repealed. Wow. You got killed for anything. And then again today, too. So there were several revivals of witchcraft in the 18th and 19th centuries. So these drew on a wide range of esoteric influences, including the contemporary interest in classical paganism, so the practice of ritual magic, diabolism, Neo-Celtic Druidism, spiritualism, and theosophical occultism, as well as the folk religion and magical beliefs of the surviving cunning men and wise women. That's interesting. So this created a recognizable pattern of rural sorcery and folk magic combined with the more sophisticated practices and beliefs of urban occultists. So, this pattern can still be discerned today in many forms of traditional witchcraft. It is one of the hallmarks of its genuine nature and often represents the social makeup of the membership of traditional covens. So that's pretty interesting right there. So one classic example was the pre-war New Forest Coven, whose members were a social mix of middle-class Masonic, Rosicrucian occultists, and local country people who were traditional or hereditary witches. So what are the major differences between modern neo-paganism, witchcraft, and the traditional craft? Or what Doreen Valiente... Is it Valentine? Doreen Valentine or Valiente? First referred to in public in 1964. The old craft? To answer this question, we must risk the displeasure and even wrath of those whose beliefs and practices are not represented in this book or do not correspond to what is written here. So they can speak for themselves if they wish, and it must be emphasized that the writer is only speaking from his own personal knowledge and experience. Alright, now, when discussing the old craft, we are using a generic term to describe many disparate forms of witchcraft. So there's no unified organization, no mysterious council of elders, despite, the grandiose claims made by cloak flappers, charlatans, and wannabes. I love those words. I love these words. So no traditional witch Bible and no equivalent to the Pope. Obviously, we all know that, but... So what exists instead is a loose network of individuals, groups, and traditions, sometimes sharing common aims and contacts, and perversely united in their diversity. So that does make sense, and that's kind of what this is. Especially if you don't have, a lineage or a tradition to fall back on with your family, or, with other people. So while there are obvious differences between the various traditions, there are also some often striking similarities. So this will become clear in the contents of this book. So there are also, of course, groups and traditions that still prefer to remain underground and have no public profile or even contact with others. It's probably the best way to be, I would imagine. So the primeval, or the privacy must be respected, and that is why this book deals with only those crafters, the old crafters, who have emerged from the shadows into the light of the public gaze and revealed something of their beliefs and practices for all to see. So yeah, it's pretty risky for these people to come out and show and share what they believe in their practices, and I'm very grateful for these very few select books that, you know, give these ideas and ideologies and practices. Now, in general terms, traditional craft differs from popular forms of modern Wicca because its methods of operation and workings are based on a more informal and improvised structure. Although texts of practice and instructions are known, valued, and used, there is less emphasis on the written word and doing it by numbers. So traditionalists believe that too many written words and theatrical rituals get in the way of the real business of communing with the spirits, and I have come to realize that's very true. Procedures and scripts may be used as guidelines, but they are soon discarded when the power of spirit quite literally takes over the proceedings. That's beautiful. It really is. So, having said that, in the past, when traditional groups have inherited fragmented rituals, they have not been reluctant to utilize the Wiccan or other ritual formats, including degrees of initiation, to give their workings, you know, a more formalized structure. So yeah, that makes sense. If you're getting, fragmented bits of information, and then you have, a specific way of, you can revert back to that, and I don't, but, I guess if it came to you had to, I would. Okay, so, now let's see. Okay, yeah, the initiation to give their workings a more formalized structure. Now, probably because the word skyclad or naked Wiccans usually prefer centrally heated suburban sitting rooms for their rituals. Traditionalists, on the other hand, usually meet outdoors. For this reason, they prefer to wear a special ritual garments such as hooded cloaks and robes, often worn over their ordinary clothes for warmth. So for this reason, in the past, traditional groups were sometimes called robed covens. Ritual nudity is, however, sometimes required for candidates at initiation or induction, and for more rarefied magical purposes, as one would expect from a tradition of working outdoors. The concept of the genie, Loki, or spirit force of the land. Where'd it go? Well, spirits of the place. So it's important in the old craft, as it is the idea, the sacred or enchanted landscape. Now, traditional witches sometimes use the term blood, earth, and ancestors, which I think we should all know. I hope. It's pretty interesting. So, to encapsulate the numinous quality of land and our past and present spiritual relationship with it. So, this reflects the emphasis on the use of the serpent power, dragon fire, or earth energies at sacred sites, or power where it enters for magical and spiritual purpose. So also an acknowledgement and contact with nature spirits and the elemental forces of the land. So traditionally, witches have always acted as the human guardians of ancient sacred sites, and this can be found in folklore and in fairy tales. So, that's pretty interesting. That is really interesting. I love how detail-oriented this man is. So, we will pick back off in olden times. It's really hard to bookmark some of these. It really is. So, but yeah, it's just sad. Some of it. Not being able to, practice your craft without fear of, being killed. Okay, yes, I am still taking notes on a napkin. In olden times. And that's where we will pick off, or pick back up tomorrow, or when I do a new video, because I think I have some readings to get done for people, so, alright guys, I hope you guys have a great weekend, a great Memorial Day weekend, or Labor Day weekend. I love you all very much, and I will see you guys tomorrow. So I love you all the way from Venus, all the way back down, and I will see you all tomorrow. So I love you guys, and everybody please be safe.